How much did you buy bread? Even 4 weeks ago. Not last government.
Chamberlain.
How much is it today?
Chamberlain.
Are we going to tell people
as enlightened people, we are not...
And telling them about enlightenment
the difference
and
between,
GDP?
You see the difference between the elite. You see why there is... Why we ask for the best of our hands to be in government. The reason why people like us went on the street, why people like us went everywhere to campaign for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is because we know we deserve the best of people in government to lead us. If we're going to face our problem in ways that our actions today are going to align with our desire for tomorrow, then we've got to have our people who are going to put on their thinking cap, who are thinkers and doers. And there is no better person currently than the current president, and he has shown that. And these figures I have just read out to you showed you clearly that, I mean, the first half of this year, we have doubled our revenue compared to the last half.
Mr. Lee, your figures have never been the issue. Good. Figures, just a moment, not when I mean figures.
Now, let me tell you how the figures are the issues, because what are we looking for? We are looking for economic growth, economic stability that will create jobs, that will put money.
Let me tell you why.
That will put money in the pocket and hands of individuals so that they can earn a living. The only way that happens is if you have a globally competitive environment that attracts both local and foreign investment. That is what we are currently experiencing. As we speak, the agricultural sector is experiencing boost. We are having farming. We are having round-the-year farming. There's been an increase in fertilizer supply to the grassroots. There's been an increment in tractor supply made available to the people. There's mechanized farming is on the increase. Improved seedling. See,
people will feel these things when you talk. If there is if there's abundance of food, it's not something that needs to be told. I'm sure it is something that people will feel.
But we all are knowledgeable enough that these things don't happen overnight. It takes time.
Yeah, so that's why I was trying to bring you back to the fact that
if we look at what we have achieved in the last 1 year alone,
will you let me ask?
It gives us let me submit what I was trying to say before you cut me. If we look at what we have achieved in the last year alone, then we have reason to support the policies. We have reason not to question the person behind the policies because his track record shows.
Not to question.
Yes.
It's a democracy, last we checked.
Let's dialogue on how best. If you have a better option on how we can do the right thing, then let's talk. But nobody has at this point stated clearly what differently should have been done. What I've heard is, he shouldn't have removed subsidy. If he had not removed subsidy when he did.
Many people have said what should have been done differently. Maybe you haven't heard some of them. A lot have.
Please, enlighten us with one of those.
She hasn't spoken for a while. We need to hear her as well.
He's been speaking, and I want to tell you to mind your language. To say that the elite, somebody who is enlightened, you want to be emotional. Do you have children?
I do.
Do you have family?
I do.
Do you feed your family?
I do.
Do you feed other people's family?
I do.
Are you responsible for many in the land?
I do. I am.
Very good. And so the question now is, even the minimum wage that we're talking about, that is 70,000, cannot buy a bag of rice. When we had a minimum wage that was 30,000, or that was even 18,000, at that time, bag of rice was 8,000. Before the coming of the APC government, let me just say APC now, APC government. Now you are giving them money that cannot even buy a bag of rice. And that is not enough for me to be emotional. And so if you are a mother in the land, they are talking of hunger, raw hunger. Because if you have in your figures that more than 80 million is going to bed hungry every night, that's a nightmare. Out of that, you have women who are having children on a daily basis. Out of that, you have so many people who are in the IDP camps. You have gender-based violence. You have violence everywhere. And then that's not enough for you to be emotional. Then I don't see what. Now, you have a space. We have always demonstrated. I was part and parcel of a lot of demonstrations during the military rule. I went to jail, I went to detention, I was kidnapped, and all of that happened during the military government. And now we are here today, we want to go and protest. If you block the line to allow people to protest, what will come at another time? There will be nobody will give you notice. This time they gave notice and say, we want to protest. We are hungry in the land. That is giving you a message that something is happening and you need to do something about it. And so that gave the Tinubu administration time to negotiate, time to even talk to people. But your signs are what make you not to protest. And let me take it back to when we did the lockdown of the National Assembly. A lot of you were there. Channels, all the media, everybody was on ground there. When we went to lockdown of the National Assembly, when they threw the gender bills out through the window, it was a spontaneous decision, and we went down. 4 weeks we were at the National Assembly. But you have a new administration now, the House of Representatives, for the first time, celebrated International Women's Day. This year, that was the first time we're having it in the history of our time. And they said, okay, let's look at the gender bills again. You don't have to go to the street. Come talk to us. That's the way the administration moves. You do something that makes people, they have even on their own introduced bills already. And so what you do, so if I'm buying bread, if I used to buy bread, 500 naira, and then it went to 900, and then it went to 1,500, and then it went to go to 1,800. And not that the bread that used to be the common man, aggregate bread is what we used to, on the streets of Lagos. I used to live in Lagos. President, Tinubu was a governor when I was in Lagos, so he was my governor. But the issue of governance itself, the cost of governance today, the salaries of those who are in the parliament, and all of that does not tell Nigerians that you care about them. And the primitive accumulation of wealth that is going on right now is that at the end of the day, all of us are going to be skeletons. At the end of the day, all of us are going, where we are equal, there is death is a must. Even the threats now. I have the right to be emotional because now, you said people should go to the National Stadium in Abuja. They went and said, okay, we stay around the National Stadium. That is the most humble set of protesters that I can see. It's not possible to have people like that.
All right.
And so, don't tell me that I'm emotional because there is hunger in the land. There are so many students who are dropping from 200 in the public schools, for example. Our education, our public education used to be one of the best across Africa before the structural adjustment program came, and they adopted it and destroyed the structures. We have beautiful doctors and all of that who are now flying out. Nigeria has the capacity. We are blessed with human resources. More than 62% of the population are young people. Right. If you don't allow them to protest today, if you are now bringing buses and saying, and the police made, you gave a court order, said those who want to protest, go to the stadium. You also brought people who are pro the Tinubu government to the stadium as well. What are you seeing? If we lose any life today, I'm saying the Tinubu administration must take responsibility for any loss of life. Because what they are doing, what they plan to do is what they are doing now.
We'll go to break, but when we return, there'll be more coming up on the program, our continuing coverage of the August protests. So don't go away. We'll talk about the figures, the reality on ground, your expectations, your opinion. All of them will be here in just a moment. Stay on with us.